Tell me when to put on my headphones.
Oh, we don't need them yet. Must be love on the brain. Woo! Got me feeling this way.
Let's go. Are we ready? Are we ready? We're ready?
Blue, cause it's me so good and I can't get enough.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all, this is April.
This is Rihanna. Just kidding, it's Caroline. I was just trying to be Rihanna for a second. And here we are.
What is today?
It's Thursday.
And this is Bloody Happy Hour.
Yep.
And we're taking it in.
I hope you're thirsty.
I'm real thirsty.
Oh,
I hope you guys
are you?
are joining us. I am so dehydrated and thirsty.
Wow. What are we going to do here? Are we going to drink and tell some true crime stories?
It's what we do. If it's your
Wow.
first time, that's what we do. We drink, we talk, true crime, a little bit of X-rated stuff every once in a while.
We are fully cleansed today.
We are going to be PG-13 today because y'all had a
didn't
whole
say
lot
that.
last week. Y'all had a whole lot. We're going to be Disney PG-13. How about
Disney's
that?
not any better. Disney's probably worse.
We're going to do the Disney version.
Yeah, well, that's good. Sam Smith version. I was talking to my psychiatrist. It's a good way to start. No, but I told her I started
listening.
doing a podcast, or that I was doing a podcast, and she's like, "Oh, what is it?" And I was like, "It's a true crime." And she was like, "I love true crime." And I'm like, "I ain't telling her what it's called." And I didn't. She finds me.
She'll find it.
If you're listening, hi.
My therapist knows. She also knows that that's probably why I'm really paranoid about things, because what do we fill our head up with all the time?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And now I don't trust anybody.
Oh, I don't trust anybody, but I don't feel like I'm that paranoid.
Oh. Let me tell you this story.
I'm under paranoid.
Fast forward through this. You are 100% under paranoid. I needed a zip tie. Did I tell you this story?
No.
Do you know what a zip tie is?
Yes.
Okay.
A zip tie is a zip tie.
Okay. I needed a zip tie for my. This is how old I am.
They need a zip tie. I'd be like, "Who are you trying to murder?"
Listen,
Clearly.
my handle thing broke on my bird feeder, so I needed something to hang it up with. So I was like, "Sweet Pea, do you have a
80?
zip tie?" I know, I'm 80. "Do you have a zip tie?" And he was like, "Yeah, right there in my lunchbox." He had a whole bag. So then I'm like, is he a killer?
Oh.
There's no reason in the world. I was like, "Why do you have zip ties? I need 3 reasons why you need them in your lunchbox at arm's reach."
First of all, why do you have a lunchbox? Grown man. Second of all, why do you have zip ties full in your lunchbox?
So I he can't even have zip ties without me being paranoid.
Well,
So
it's probably for the kid he's keeping in the basement.
the woman.
The woman,
Yeah,
not the kid.
yeah.
The woman he's keeping in the basement. That's been in there for a couple of years.
Yeah. Since she was transferred from her old house to this house.
I know, and you didn't even see her. Not even once.
But that's how paranoid I am, that I was like, why does he have zip ties? Well, why do you just have zip ties?
I still
He
want to
needs
know
them
why
from
they're in
work.
his lunchbox.
He takes his lunch to work
Yeah, but-
every day.
okay.
And he says that he needs them for whatever reason, because he drives trucks. Maybe they need them in big trucks. I don't know.
He's a truck driver.
I'm still questioning
with
him.
zip ties. and a
I know.
lunchbox.
He fits the profile.
But he's black.
At least
so
I'm not going to be
He doesn't
shocked.
really fit it. If he was like white guy, for sure he'd fit.
Then, yeah.
He'd be number 1 serial killer.
Yeah. That's kind of why I was just like, well, you know.
Well, I guess we'll find out sooner or later.
Sorry for the tangent, but we are getting back on it. Caroline, where should they go if their husbands or wives are not very groomed downstairs?
Oh, the only place that there is to go, which is Manscaped. And just go to manscaped.com and then you can get 20% off if you enter code BHH.
I ran into a listener this weekend at Sausage Fest, speaking of Manscaped, and they ordered their husband some for Black Friday, and everybody is enjoying it.
You can't just say Sausage Fest and expect me to move past it that quickly. I mean,
that's why I went over it really quickly.
I mean, come on. You know how I work here. It's not going to happen. Is that just a festival with a bunch of sausage? Why did you invite me? I'm single.
Not those kind of sausages. It's deer sausage. Friend of ours,
I
they
like
go deer
sausage.
They go deer hunting all
Maybe
season,
I need to put
and
some
they
in
do.
the freezer.
Okay,
I do eat sometimes.
yeah, we'll see.
I'm not slaying my food and throwing it on the floor and pretending to eat it.
Moving her food around on the
I've been accused of that. So many people. It's very strange.
must be true.
So, yeah, what about the deer sausage?
Nothing. Just listeners order their Manscaped and they love them.
Yes, Manscaped. That's where we're at. Yes.
And they just
and
fired
it smells
us.
so good. Manscaped is probably going to hire us again for 3 more months. But it does smell so good. And you just go to manscaped.com, promo code BHH, free shipping.
And 20% off.
And 20% off.
So do it.
Do it. And then while you're doing that, you might as well get you some Sigmatic cacao.
Mm-hmm. Or coffee.
Mushroom.
Yeah.
It's coffee. Mushroom-shaped coffee.
It is coffee fortified.
Fortified. You get energy. You get mental clarity.
Yeah.
You grow a beard if you want. I don't know. I don't think you do.
And if you do, you just get Manscaped and shave it off.
Win-win.
It's a win-win.
Win-win.
So you go to go.forsigmatic.com/happy hour and you get 30% off.
Oh my gosh, that's like a steal.
There we go. Where are you taking us today?
We're going to Australia, so jump on your kangaroo, bitches.
Wait, Australia. Can we shout out Miss or Mr. DC?
Yes, y'all. You know how we're working on this Dirty Chad story.
Very slowly but surely.
We're slowly working on it, but we are working on it. We had asked y'all to send us some ideas for like t-shirt designs or any kind of we just needed ideas.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, we got some good ones.
Yes.
We got an email with like 10 different options, and they are so freaking good.
I know. We need more
so
Dirty
good.
Chads so that we can use all of these options.
I think we can use them some for like our actual like Bloody Happy Hour stuff. Like there's one that I want to, I got ideas.
Okay.
But
thank you so much,
Thank you,
DC.
DC, for sending us that email with those amazing images, whatever you call them.
And you guys will see them soon because there will be a Dirty Chad. Good. Bloody Happy Hour presents Dirty Chad shirt and whole different graphic logo. It's going to look great. So stay tuned.
Stay
for
tuned.
That.
Because you never know when it's going to be
And
released.
if you're brand new, Dirty Chad is Caroline's narcissist husband she used to be married to.
That's called the ex-husband.
Ex-husband that she used to be married to. And she's going to tell that story. And crazy enough, DC had her own Dirty Chad.
Yes. And if you've heard of the show Dirty John or seen that, it's not like it's like a similarity.
But was he a killer?
Dirty John?
Uh-huh.
Did he? I don't know. I think he just was abusive.
Okay.
Like physically abusive.
Okay.
I never had that, but you can still be. Well, we'll talk about it in this case today because you can still be abused without being physically abused.
Yes,
obviously,
it's definitely traumatic.
Coercive control is where we're going today.
Are these big words?
Listen, since I got this new boss lady,
she's making you read the dictionary.
No, she will read. She'll say words, and I'm like, what does that mean?
And you'll have to look it up.
And so I started writing down on note paper. On note paper? You know how I like to do. So then I've started to use the words back. And I feel like my brain's growing.
Use the words back. Okay.
Yeah, like I'm like saying them back to her.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's
So do you know who Hannah Clarke is?
Yeah, she graduated from Conley in 2000.
No, this one's Hannah Clarke from Australia. It's probably Hannah Clarke. I don't know. What's your Australian accent? Can you practice your Australian accent?
No, I don't even. I don't even know how.
Well, can you tell me one thing that you might think a characteristic of her might be?
That's not racist. That would be
No, if she's murdered.
Oh, is she jolly? Is she giggly? Bubbly? Yes.
Bubbly.
Is she bubbly?
I don't think these people are all bubbly. I think they just describe them as bubbly. So if I'm murdered, do not describe me as bubbly because they'd be like, well, she was asking for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Hannah Clarke was bright, bubbly, and full of empathy.
Oh, don't have empathy either. No, have some.
So she had gorgeous. She's beautiful. Family, she has, it's bad. So she's living her best life. But then February 19th. So I'm going to tell you what happened, and then we'll go back to it.
Tell me
I'm going to tell you what happened.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come back
start
and
with
I'll
the
tell you.
ending.
Yes, I'm going to start with the ending.
What's the date again?
February 19th, 2020.
Oh, hell.
I know. So that was right before the big old shutdown and right before the big COVID blast. Hannah was leaving her parents' house, taking her 3 kids to school when her ex-husband or estranged husband, Rowan Baxter, did the ultimate unthinkable act. Armed with a knife and a can full of gas, he ambushed Hannah and forced his way into the car. So Hannah and the 3 kids are in the car, and he forces his way into the car. He demands that Hannah drives and just is like, drive. And she's screaming, get out of the car, get out of the car. She's trying to protect the kids. So husband Rowan, is demanding Hannah to drive, and she's screaming for him to get out of the car, trying to protect the kids. He's being violent, and she pulls up kind of like she's gone about 200 yards, like not very far. She pulls the car up almost like onto the curb of random person's house, and there's a neighbor guy who is washing his car. So she pulls up onto this curb, neighbor guy's out there, and she's yelling to the neighbor guy to call the police.
Okay.
Call the police, call the police. All of a sudden, the car explodes.
Was it a Tesla that drove off a cliff?
Maybe. No, it was no cliff. Okay. And so the windows all the way across the street rattle. This is how big this explosion is. Hannah and Rowan are consumed with flames, and the neighbors are like, the guy who's washing his car, he has the hose, so he's going over there trying to hose the car down.
I like it.
And all they could see was this thick black cloud of smoke.
Where are the kids?
Aaliyah? I don't know if I'm saying the names right.
Yeah, that's Aaliyah. Named after the singer? I don't know that one.
Laianah?
Laianah. There you go.
There's Aaliyah, Laianah, and Trey.
Okay.
No.
And they're not black.
And they're white. They're real white Australian kangaroos. Those are the 3 kids. They're strapped. They're strapped in the back seat of the car.
How old are they?
Oh God, I erased it. 6, 3, 6. I think 6, 4, and 3.
Oh, what did I ask?
So they're strapped in the back seat of the car and they burn to death. But Hannah is covered in head to toe, like severe burns.
Mm-hmm.
She gets out of the car and she is able to talk to the emergency people and tell them detail after detail after detail. And I'll go into that, but she's able to tell them the kids' names and like what happened and like all these things. And then hours later, she dies at the hospital.
Oh, it's like Jessica Chambers.
Yes. Rowan was said to have this face of like this deadpan, like nothing on his, like just like could care less. Like neighbors, I guess, who saw him
was he dead, though?
described him as looking like that.
All the time or right now?
Right now.
Okay.
They were, I guess I don't know. That's just how they described it. And then he got out of the car, grabbed his knife, because he got in the car with the knife, the knife, the gas can, and the knife and the gas can. He gets out of the car, stabs himself with the knife.
What?
Which is what killed him. So they do what's called an inquest. This is something they do to like investigate the death, to see if something happened that like they didn't take into consideration that they could have prevented the death.
Yeah.
So they had this is kind of like where all of this information is coming from, is from this. It's basically a hearing.
Yeah.
And they do like this. But it's like, you don't have it. It's not like you're trying anybody because everybody's dead.
Yeah.
So they're doing it just, I think, basically to like, because there's been a lot of stuff that they went to the police officer. Like she went to police before, but they really didn't have anything to get him on because he wasn't physically abusive.
Okay.
So they do this thing called this inquest, and it's just, so Hannah had separated from Baxter several months before all of this. And the nature of this murder, like I said, led to this outpouring and all of this grief about like Australia and the domestic violence and how it's handled.
Is that where Oscar Pistorius was?
But he was South Africa. But they had a lot of issues with domestic violence as well.
Yeah,
because this brought me back to there too. So basically what they do is they take a look back, find out if there's any warning signs that were missed, find out what Hannah did to contact any, like, did she have any support services that she contacted, and what changes should be made to stop another accident like this happening.
They're being reactive, but trying to be proactive for, like, future.
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
So throughout the hearing, the court had pieced together all these things that were, like, hidden in plain sight, and they found, which we'll go over, that this was an abusive, unhappy marriage, and that Rowan was very manipulative, controlling, psychopathic, and his behaviors were towards Hannah and to the kids. And that the moments, there was really nothing that the authorities could have done to protect them because there just was nothing in place. Yeah. There was nothing in place.
Oh, there was no protocol.
Yeah.
I bet he's beautiful too, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, look at this.
Oh, yeah. All Australian family. Like, not all American.
They're gym owners, and they own CrossFit gym. So they're like this super fit, super cute, like gorgeous.
They're beautiful.
I mean, they're just. So let's get into it. And Hannah was always she's athletic growing up. She's like from forever. Okay. So when she ran, she swam, ran across country, did some DJing. She's school captain. She was the class president. She always wanted to be able to protect herself. She was just a good person. Everybody loved her. She
probably was bubbly. She just described a bubbly person.
Well, I guess, I don't know what to tell you. Don't be bubbly.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros Foes Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hi, this is Sarah,
And I'm Carter.
and this is Some of Our Thoughts.
We're two Southern sommeliers, and we want to share everything we love and know about wine. We started hanging out during quarantine and cooking and drinking and listening to music, and we just thought this would be a great way to bring everything we know to you guys.
We will make wine knowledge and food pairings easy and approachable. So put on your favorite vinyl, grab your favorite glass of wine, tune into our show, and let's have some fun.
Wine and
vinyl.
So check us out on roguemedianetwork.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. We'll be talking about a lot.
She was a
School
she was a
captain,
school
so that's like
captain,
our
which is
class
basically like the
president.
class,
Okay.
our class president. So, yeah, she was natural athlete. She spent a lot of time at the gym, which this is where she ended up meeting Rowan.
Okay.
So Hannah Clarke met New Zealand-born Rowan Baxter when she was 19. Rowan was a former rugby player for the New Zealand Warriors. Rugby. He probably had like several concussions, and that's why he
Yeah.
was so messed up.
CTE.
Yes.
And that's a rough sport. Like,
Yeah.
it's rough.
That's real
You
rough.
gotta have a lot of anger.
Yeah, angry.
That might be a red flag.
Yeah. I think there's a bunch of those red flags. I'll read them to you later. He had a previous marriage, and he had one child from that marriage. He had proposed to Hannah in 2011. They married in 2012. They had 3 children: Aaliyah 6, Laianah 4, and Trey 3. So I was right.
Yeah.
6, 4, and 3. I mean, they knocked him out. After the murders, it was reported that Hannah had allegedly been emotionally, physically, sexually, and financially abused by Rowan during their marriage. So they met in 2008. They got married in 2012, separated in 2019, and they were murdered in 2020.
She
So
put up,
they were together for a
yeah.
while.
So that means she put up with a lot in that time.
Red flags.
Okay.
Susan Clarke, Hannah's mom, when she first met Rowan, she didn't like him.
Okay. Mama's always know.
That sounds very, very, very familiar.
Yeah.
Rowan was stocky. He had a muscular build. He was 11 years older than Hannah. So she was 19. I mean, he was 30.
Oh, 19 when she got married?
No, when they met, she was
Oh.
19. So if he's 11 years older, I know my math ain't be mathing sometimes, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that means you're 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's quite a difference. So whenever Hannah introduced Rowan to her parents, he was still living with his ex.
Red flag.
Do you want to put some tick marks for red flags? But he said that because it was just for his child.
Oh, yeah. They had to co-parent
Yeah.
in the same house.
Yeah. So is that 3 red flags? Okay. And in 5 seconds, they find out later. They later on find out that Rowan had actually talked about killing his ex partner, and he talked about killing the ex and the son in a murder suicide. Now, most of this information is coming from what we got out of the hearing thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And he had told a friend that he had actually driven past the ex's house with a rope, tape, and a knife.
Wow.
Oh, I guess the friend didn't want to talk about it. I don't know. So eventually, Rowan wins the parents over, and they're like, "Okay, we love him
because they're so good at what they do."
Yeah, he's lovely. He's so lovely. But then once they started having kids, their relationship kind of seemed to get a little bit sour. So they ran a CrossFit gym in Integrate and CrossFit SMC in Mansfield. Maybe for you Australian listeners out there, you know about this gym. Tell us about it if you do. So Mama Sue, she said that she had helped and she invested money into the gym. So she kind of helped them
it's like a franchise that you buy into, right?
Yeah. So she was kind of helping them get on their feet, and she said that it kind of felt like Rowan thought maybe he was owned by them because they financially backed the gym, the purchase of the gym. Does that make sense? And so either way, he treated his mother-in-law like shit after the first day. The first day he met them, that was fine, but then when they started having kids, he started treating the in-laws like crap.
Because he needed them to finance it, so then maybe he felt demasculated himself, or that he felt like he didn't have the total control that he wanted because they're investors.
So then they have this gym, and Mom starts going to the gym, and other people, obviously. Well, other people are like, he was like always rude to these people. He would call his clients, he'd call them like fat and ugly.
Oh.
I don't know. It's the best business practice. I'm not really sure. So he also told Hannah's mom that she didn't need to be there. And the mom was like, I help pay for this gym. I bet I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
He one time he was spotting her, she's maybe doing whatever, some exercise. He's spotting her. She ends up falling over and gets this big gash in her head, and he just laughs at her and doesn't do anything.
Wow.
It's all these weird, there's red flags. So from there, any time that Hannah misbehaved in Rowan's eyes, Rowan would punish the mom, Mama Sue. So if Hannah was rude to Rowan, he would say, "Oh, your mom can't watch the kids. Your mom can't do this. She's not allowed to watch the kids. She's not allowed to see the kids." Stuff like that. Like just anything to have any kind of control. Enough so that she would have to call her mom. She'd call her mom crying, telling her to apologize to him about whatever he thought that she did wrong. So then
everything
could see the
be
kids.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why he got somebody young too, so he can control her.
So basically, at this point, being around Rowan is walking on eggshells. So throughout the marriage, Rowan would demand sex from Hannah every day.
No.
Every day. At times, choking her during sex, which isn't anything that was it wasn't a kink.
It wasn't welcome.
This wasn't a kink. This wasn't a talked about thing. Yeah, IAPK. This is no LGBTQ baby CD IFPK. So Hannah's friend said that she was also not allowed to wear shorts.
Oh.
And they couldn't go to the beach.
What?
Well, I guess because at the beach,
you can
you can't wear shorts.
You can give my mom a gash in the head. You cannot take my beaches away from me. No.
You can choke me during sex, but you not take my beaches away. So, she also couldn't wear the color pink.
Does that mean on Fridays?
I don't know. What if it was breast cancer awareness? She couldn't wear pink?
I hate people like this.
He also decided who she could and couldn't see. Even during the workouts, whenever they would work out together, he would get so jealous because, CrossFit, this whole big thing, it's a big thing about
Olympic lifts.
Timing the times too. Like you time yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So you try to get done at a certain time,
Unders.
or you have to like count your reps and do the certain amount of rounds, whatever. So she would beat him and like do better than him in like a certain workout. And he would get mad and he'd accuse her of cheating or not counting her reps. Which is like, he would like body shame her. He would fat shame her. And he would just tell her she needs to lose weight, get back in shape, like all this stuff.
But it's prescribed different, so his weights are more anyways.
Right.
It's like he can't even take into account that he is doing more.
No. Mm-mm.
Stupid.
It's very stupid. So another friend of theirs said during this hearing said that he treated the kids like they were his possessions, and he was like pretty rough with them. And one time he knocked Aaliyah into a door frame while play fighting, but so much that her head split open.
Damn.
All these people, their heads keep splitting open.
So now she's got CTE.
And she has CTE now, and she feared her father, but she would often stand up to him. Like, she's the oldest. She's the 6-year-old. You know, she's the oldest. So anytime, like, during, like, if Rowan and Hannah ever got in a fight, he would storm out, leave, and she, Aaliyah, would slam the door and say, don't come back. Like, so it was noted that she would do this, and she did not. And he also, out of all the kids, disliked her because she's the one that was strong and would stand up to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then a chilling indicator of things to come. Mama Sue said that her daughter asked her if she needed a will. So apparently things were escalating so much that
Mama asked. Say it again?
Hannah asked her mom if she needed to have a will.
If Sue needed Mama
No,
Sue,
if
or
she
if Heidi,
herself needed a will. Like, she's like, hey, Mom, do I need a will? And Mom was like, why would you need a will? She's like, well, if he kills me, he'll be in jail. What happens to the kids?
Yes, bitch, get a will.
A week later,
they die.
They would be dead. So around late 2019, Hannah and Rowan are separated. Okay.
Okay.
So they got married 2012. They had the kids.
Mm-hmm.
She can't go to the beach, and she can't wear shorts, and she can't wear pink, and now they're separated.
Yeah.
So she starts to realize that his behavior is what's considered coercive control, which there's a difference. It's a type of domestic violence, but it's controlling behaviors, but you're basically wanting to have the power in the relationship, but there doesn't have to be a physical abuse. You just want to be able to have all the control.
Mm-hmm.
So she ended up seeking help and from like support services and the police. And she ended up taking the kids to go live with her parents.
Okay.
So she's reaching out for
trying to protect them.
She's trying to have protection. One of the police officers during the aftermath of their relationship said that, I guess, she would talk to the police, but there was nothing of substance that they could do. Like, she had told them that he would make her have sex every night, but that wasn't necessarily a reason to do anything against him. So she described it as another chore that she had to do. But she wanted to get a DVO, like a domestic violence order.
Okay.
But that wasn't enough to cause, like, that was.
Yeah, because she doesn't have any bruises. There's no scars.
Yeah. And so then at this time she's not really pursuing it because she's like, I don't really have anything, and it's not like he's beating me, so whatever. I guess
I'll just deal with it.
I'll just deal with it. But this is whenever Rowan ended up kidnapping the middle child, Laianah, on Boxing Day. Do you know what Boxing Day is?
Did she take boxing classes?
No, it's nothing to do with boxing. It's the day after Christmas.
Oh, it's a thing there?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you do?
I think you give gifts to the poor.
Oh.
Yeah. At least that's what I've, according to my research. So, but it's
The title
called,
of it's so misleading.
It's very misleading. I was like, why are you calling it Boxing Day? So I Googled Boxing Day. I was like, look it up. I was like, okay, this is what confusing. Apparently it's the day after Christmas. So this is the day after Christmas. That day, they're all together, and then Hannah is all of a sudden she's like super distraught, and Laianah is grabbed. He comes, he takes her, puts her in the car, speeds away. He flees to a friend's house 130 miles away, and then would end up returning the kid a couple of days later. But she called the police to report the incident, but since there were no orders in place, there were no charges that could be made. And there's body cam footage with recording, and that's what we're going to play right now.
Okay.
And this is of the incident where she was the middle child, Laianah, was kidnapped.
Family lawyers, etc. And he took the middle one and just took off with her in my car. Well, this is my other car, but the other car's registered in my name.
Okay.
And now he's telling me he won't give her back.
Where would he be going? Just home?
Probably home, I'm guessing. Right. And now he's trying to play games with me on the phone. No, we've been separated for a few weeks now. I'm staying at my parents'.
Okay. So what's led up to this? Just that you've seen each other and he's decided.
Yeah, and he's decided that because I've said to him, you need to wait until we can get this sorted.
Yeah.
You're not having them stay with you because you won't return them. And then I'm like, you go and pull a stunt like this. The other two are absolutely beside themselves. She's pulling her eyes out.
Was anything like any other words exchanged? Like how was he acting? Or he's just said that?
Just a psycho that he's taking her, and that's it. And then he just called me now and said, you either bring the other two back or I keep her. And I'm like, they were in my care. Like, they were in my care. I was doing a good thing.
Yeah, of course.
By letting them see him.
Okay. Do you want to see if he'll come back here? Will he come back here? Where's he saying come back to where?
No, to his house.
Right, where's his house?
Carindale.
Do you mind if I just grab your surname?
Yeah, Baxter. B-A-X-T-E-R.
And first name?
Hannah, H-A-N-N-A-H. I've been speaking with Constable Kirsten Kent at the Carina station, and we've been in talks of whether or not to get a DVO, but the only reason I didn't is because I was scared that it would antagonise the situation more, and I thought that by keeping them with me would prevent something like this happening.
Yeah, okay. It's really like you probably, as Constable Kent's probably said, it's a bit of a tough situation. Without any orders in place, there's not a great deal we can do in relation to the custody of the children. So being the biological father, he does have a right to the child, and unfortunately, we can't just go and take the child, even though he's acted like...
Even though he's taken her away from me when they were in my care.
Yeah, unfortunately, because he is the biological father of the child, we can't go and just seize the child and give it back to you.
I
know it's frustrating. I know, it's crazy. It drives us insane too.
But we can ask him.
But we can at least try and get some sort of civil arrangement back together.
I don't object to him actually seeing the kids.
What's his name?
Rowan Baxter. Because he does this, he's fine for 1 minute, and then the next minute...
And
he just does
is there something going on for him at the moment, or is that how he's always?
He's got worse. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's going to see counsellors and things like that.
Did you know, is it stemming from anything, or is it just a separation?
The fact that I left. Yeah. So there's been a lot of domestic violence, not physical but emotional, controlling, etc. for a long time, and it just got too much. I just couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. So I took the kids and we left. I've never had an issue with him having the kids, but he can't keep an agreement, and that's why I know, obviously, we're speaking with Kirsten that unless there's an actual legally binding agreement, there is nothing that can be done, which is why once I got them back on Sunday, I decided to keep them.
Yeah.
with me.
Well, we'll see what we can do today, but I can only urge you to get onto the civil.
I know, and I've tried, but because everything's shut.
Yeah, it's
due to Christmas, the 6th of January is, they said, the earliest.
Did Kirsten put a police referral in for you to get them in contact with you a bit quicker? Or did she tell you to seek your own solicitor?
No, she hasn't. Okay. No, I've left a message for her over the last couple of days, but I know she wasn't working.
We can do that today in relation to that stuff, so hopefully that'll get on track a bit quicker.
It is hard because he's so smart. He knows what he can do, what he can't do, and there's really no proof that he's dangerous. And right there, I would have thought he wanted her to bring the other kids, and he would have killed them. Then I would think if she would have did that.
She's sitting there crying, and she seems very genuine.
Yeah.
It's just like, how can you not do? Like, he took
because he's daddy.
I know. So, in case you didn't hear all of it, basically, they were meeting up, and the dad takes one of the kids, takes away, like, when he's not supposed to have them. He's the biological father. He has the right to the child, and the officers can't do anything about it because he's just being their dad. Rowan ends up calling the police while he still had Laianah in his possession.
I don't know why she hadn't said, she is hurt. He is hurt this one before, split her head open. I am scared to what he can do to the kids. Like, I feel like she was still kind of taking up for him.
You would, and if you had to take your kid to the hospital with a split open head, your kids are gonna get taken away from you because CPS is gonna take them away.
Unless you tell what really happened.
No, it don't matter.
If you hide the abuser, so like if she would have said, yes, he's doing this is what happened, they know that they can trust you with the kid. But if you like take up for him and hide him, then y'all both get the kid taken away.
But what if you say it was him, it wasn't me, and then they still take him away from both of you?
I guess it depends on the situation.
So, yeah, it's bad. He complains. He complained about his wife and lied to the kid about. Like, I don't know why he's complaining to her anyway. He lied about the whole situation. He said that the kid, jumped in the car, and that's why they drove away.
That's what he's telling police.
That's what he's telling the police, yes. So he goes, and he was like, he goes on to say Hannah was trying to recover, like basically steal, like, oh, she was trying to take her from me in my custody. So he's like flipping the whole story. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure this happens a lot. And this is probably why she doesn't fight a lot, because she's probably like, he makes it so exhausting, I guess.
Yeah.
So
it's probably easier to let him win.
Yeah. A support worker, that same month. Yeah. A support worker classified, I guess, their situation as high risk because of the choking during the sex.
Okay.
But this information was never passed on to police.
Oh, she just filed it in her folder and put it in her desk?
Sounds like it. It was assumed that they knew.
Oh.
It was assumed that they knew. So then Hannah ends up finding a note that was on Rowan's phone.
Okay.
He was overseeing. He would come over. This is very sporadic details because there's not like one full thing. This is all from that little hearing. Yeah. That was all the stuff that was given. So one day he was at the parents' house visiting the kids. Somehow she sees his phone. She sees this note on his phone. And this note says, it's a huge, long, written out, maybe just in your notes folder on your phone. Mm-hmm. But this is just a little part of it. And it says, the children will miss you, I'm sure. You can't fuck with someone's life like this and expect them to just take it. I'm not going to take it anymore, Hannah. Do you know how hard it is to go to bed every night without your children? I wish you have just tried. You destroyed my life and I cannot move on. I hope all of this was worth it for you and your family. I'm finishing your game. I don't want to play anymore. This was never my intention. Okay.
So what'd she do with that note?
Well, we don't know. But we do know that Rowan starts unraveling. I feel like he's been unraveled, but yeah. So he starts feeling pressure because now there's police. I'm sure she maybe tells the police about it because now he's getting pressure from police, courts, and is becoming more paranoid. He's running out of money because they don't have the gym anymore because the gym's closed because, they're separated and they're split up. And I'm sure mom had the gym in her name. And so he is kind of spiraling.
Losing it, yeah.
He's really losing it. So this is whenever he was captured on surveillance footage, CCTV, at a store buying zip ties.
Oh. Uh-oh. Get them from Soupy's lunchbox?
I think so. Zip ties, a gas can, and he also buys like candy for the kids.
Luring.
So officers ended up he goes to the store, he buys all this stuff. What was this? That was from February. So they ended up getting a warrant was issued for him in January. And this was because there was one time where he assaulted Hannah while dropping the kids off. And what happened was he dropped the kids off. Hannah goes into the back seat to get the kids out, and she notices all these pictures of her in her underwear are on the floor of the car, like the back seat on the floorboard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pictures of her in her underwear, and it was displayed for the kids to see. Well, apparently, she sees them. She starts grabbing all these pictures and is like, "What are you doing?" And he grabs her wrist, almost twists it to. She thought he was about to break her wrist. So this is why she ends up getting this warrant for him, and then he ends up spiraling even more. But he apparently, they think that the pictures he was trying to use as a way to say, look, my wife is sending me these pictures. She obviously still wants me and wants to have sex with me. What? Okay, so that was January. Then comes up February where they go, and this is where they see the surveillance footage of the at the store where he's buying all of this stuff, and he also buys surface cleaner. They also find a receipt from a gas station from February 18th where he had gone and filled up this gas can with liters and liters of fuel. So, not Kinder. You know what a Kinder egg is? This must be an Australian thing. Well, he buys candy for the kids too. So the attorneys are like, okay, well, what was his plan? So they start thinking that maybe his plan was to only kill Hannah with the fuel, maybe to like zip tie her up, light her car on fire, kill her, but have the kids with him and then pretend to have this like perfect happy family or whatever. Because he didn't use the zip ties and he didn't give the kids the candy. I'll tell you what all happened exactly in a second.
So they thought he was just going to kill.
They just assumed based on the stuff that he purchased. They were trying to be like, well, did he, what was his plan? Was his plan to kill everybody? Why would he buy the candy? Because I guess because he bought all those things at the same time is why they thought that. They thought maybe he was going to he just wanted to kill her and take the kids. But he ended up killing everybody because maybe.
I would think the candy would be like to lure them so you can have them all together.
Yeah, but then kill them. Oh, yeah. I don't know. That's just what they said, according to my research. So February 18th, one of the last things Rowan did before the murders was call a men's helpline in an attempt for maintaining his self-image before the murders.
What? Say it again?
He called a men's helpline.
Oh, and said what?
He said he wanted to go on a 10-week behavioral challenge program. Because this would put him in better standing for his battle in family court. He does not disclose his history or his treatment of Hannah or the kids. Instead, he spends the time blaming his ex, blaming Hannah for his current predicament. He tells the operator he had, quote, got to the stage where she was dictating when he could have the children. He lies about the Boxing Day abduction. Boxing Day. Says that Laianah wanted to come with him and that his wife put a DVO on him and things got worse and worse and worse. So much so that his life turned around in 5 minutes and it was just scary and he never thought that his wife was capable of doing any of this.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. He called the men's Healthline. He's like, oh, my ex-wife is crazy and she's the one doing all this stuff. Well, the operator passes the numbers on of other support services for him to call. Like, so she's like, okay, here, call this number and you can get further services for your victimization situation. So he calls, but nobody answers because the operators were too busy. And the service place called, it was 24-hour place. They called him back the next day at 12:01. But by this time, everybody was dead.
Oh, gosh. And we're still in February, right?
Yes, because it's February 19th. So the inquest hearing. Here we go. This is the juicy bits. So this is a hearing to investigate the circumstances of death to determine whether it resulted from any kind of a crime. So this is what brought all this attention to the use of coercive control by domestic abusers. And this is what made them consider making coercive control a criminal offense. So there we have witnesses. This is basically like a little trial, little hearing. First witness was the neighbor, the guy that was washing the car. He says I heard screaming and a hysterical scream. He said very quickly this car had pulled up its front right wheel basically on the driveway and Hannah was essentially screaming out, call the police, he's trying to kill me, he's put gasoline on me. And this guy said that Rowan had his hand around her in a bear hug like situation, both arms around her, and he was sitting in the front seats. He said his demeanor was controlled. He didn't appear to be really crazed or aggressive and trying to do anything. He wasn't trying to do anything like punch her or be violent. It was just a constraining hold. And he said, my impression was he had more of a resigned look on his face. So this goes back to that look of just like nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
So then this neighbor is the one who approached the window as Rowan sets the car on fire. He said all of a sudden it went bang. There was just a flare. It was blackness hit his face. He turned around, turned his head briefly. When he came back to look up, the whole inside of the car was exploded on fire.
Why didn't she say, get my kids out, get my kids out?
Well, because she blew up.
Well, I meant like instead of saying call 911, I would have said, come get my kids.
Well, she just wait. She does.
And they're little. They probably can't even get themselves out.
No, they can't.
Yes.
So, but whenever she told him to call the police, nothing was blown up yet.
Right.
So, we'll get there. So, the car's exploded. It's in flames. Whatever. The guy says he just grabbed the hose and tried to get her to roll on the ground so he could extinguish the flames. So I don't know if he maybe didn't
even know there's kids in the backseat.
He didn't. So I think maybe he just pulled her out, he said at the hearing he did not know until afterwards that children were restrained in the backseat.
That's what I'm saying. I wish she would have pulled up and that was the first thing that she said. Get my kids, get my kids.
But she didn't even have time because when she pulls up, she's like, call the police. He's trying to kill me.
I'd have said, get my kids. Instead of all that.
Instead of call the police?
Yeah.
You would just say, get my
kids out. Call the police, get my kids. I don't know. It's no way. But I was like, somebody needed to know. I guarantee the man would have I don't know.
Yeah,
I would think
I
that
guess
if you
you
know,
can say-
it's a different kind of energy and
you can
scaredness
say,
when you know there's
call
kids
the
in the
police.
back.
There's kids
My
in the car.
kids, yeah.
I see what you're saying. So
And then he
another-
at least would have went to the kids first before her
I
if
know.
he knew.
Yeah, he didn't know. Another neighbor came out. She said she grabbed a fire extinguisher and attempted to put out the fire, but that it seemed like Rowan was almost guarding the car. I guess he's standing out there just like on flames. Like, I don't know. He's got to have an issue. She is also described his demeanor as deadpan, nothing. An off-duty paramedic was also down the street who came and got there just before firefighters arrived. Hannah was able to tell the paramedic that Rowan had squirted gasoline in the car and and then threw a lighter inside the car, or like lit a match, or
that is the worst way to want.
The
Like he wanted
worst.
everybody to suffer, including himself.
Paramedic said. She said Hannah kept yelling and crying, saying, "My babies are in the car. Why didn't I just stay in the car with them? I can't believe he's done this. How could he do this?"
Yeah.
She had sustained burns on 97% of her body. The only part of her body that was not burned was the bottom of her feet. She had holes in her clothes, and her skin was melting through over the holes.
It's the worst.
What is that even like? You're just like, how do you even? What does it even look like?
Like you're picturing it, I would think.
She stands there and she's able to like full on conversation.
So then it makes me think of Chambers. Remember, because she couldn't talk. So I wonder.
Oh,
I think Chambers had gasoline poured down her throat, though.
Oh.
And that might have been the difference. Because I was like, why is she able to talk so well?
I know, because
and
I'm going to tell
Chambers
you
had
all
98%.
the details. She was able to provide so many details. She could even spell the names of her kids and give them their dates of birth. She told the officers that she was taking. She told the officers she was taking the kids to school, and then when Rowan got in the car, he had, it's called a gas can. Mm-hmm. Rowan said he wanted to see the children, and so he got into the car. She told him to get out of the car, but he told her to drive with this gas can in his hand. Hannah told the officers that there was a protection order against Rowan and that he had tried to break her wrist 2 weeks earlier. I mean, and she's telling him all this stuff.
And I tried to tell the popos and they didn't do anything.
And one of the firefighters who was at the scene, said that he knew from experience that anyone in that car had no chance of survival. That they could escape from the car, but they had no chance. And this is whenever firefighters are there, Rowan gets out, his body had sustained 80% of burns, but he grabbed the knife and he was able to kill himself right away. He leaned over, stabbed himself, and I think they ended up doing CPR on him for a second. Because you have to, and he ended up dying. He died at the scene. She died a little bit later at the hospital. The kids, they were just charred. Horrible. But it's amazing to me that she was able to talk so much to them and give them so much detail. Like, this is what happened. This is how it happened. These are my kids' names. This is his name. This is how old they are. When you're literally melting.
I tried to tell y'all. Yeah.
So, towards the end of this inquest hearing thing, officials say that Rowan had showed 29 of 39 lethality factors.
Oh.
So
did they make a checklist after this was over?
I think so. So these are the factors that are associated with increased risk of lethal violence in domestic partnerships. And this is a long list, but I'm going to tell you all 39 of them.
Do.
History of violence outside. Do you want to read them?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's my
Well,
day
I didn't know
off.
if we were going to be like a crime junkie. Do you want me to
take
email
turns?
you? Do you want me to let me email you the list and we can read them? I'll read the first one. History of violence outside of the family by perpetrator.
So like when he hurt the mama.
Oh, yeah. I have examples.
It says outside of the family. Okay. History of domestic violence.
Prior threats to kill victim.
Mm-hmm. Prior threats with a weapon.
Prior assault with a weapon.
What was that? What was the weapon?
Prior.
Is this the list or is this his list?
This is the list.
Oh, okay.
This is the 39. He had 29 of the 39.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So what I say, prior assault with a weapon.
Prior threats to commit suicide by perpetrator.
Prior suicide attempts by perpetrator.
Prior attempts to isolate the victim.
Controlled most or all of victim's daily activities.
Prior hostage taking and or forcible confinement.
Prior forced sexual acts and or assaults during sex.
Child custody or access disputes.
Prior destruction or deprivation of victim's property.
Prior violence against family pets.
Oh, hell. Prior assault on victim while pregnant.
Choked, strangled victim in the past.
Perpetrator was abused and or witnessed domestic violence as a child.
Zip ties in the lunchbox. Escalation of violence.
Obsessive, I thought it said excessive banter. Obsessive behavior displayed by perpetrator.
Perpetrator unemployed.
Oh, hell. Victim and perpetrator living common law?
What?
Oh, no.
Presence of...
Wait, are we talking about dirty chat? What are we talking about? Okay.
Presence of stepchildren in the home.
Extreme minimization and or denial of spousal assault history.
Actual or pending separation.
Excessive alcohol or drug use by perpetrator.
Depression in the opinion of family, friends, acquaintance, or of perpetrator. Not or, of perpetrator.
Depression professionally diagnosed of perpetrator.
Other mental health or psychiatric problems of perpetrator.
Access to or possession of any firearm.
New partner in victim's life.
Failure to comply with authority via perpetrator.
Perpetrator exposed to witness suicidal behavior in family of origin.
That I know has happened with Dirty. After risk assessment, perpetrator had access to victim.
Youth of
couple. Like if they're young or one of them's young. Like the youth, like the age.
One of them is...
It's just like the youth of the I guess maybe like the age of the couple, maybe if they're young. Sexual jealousy via perpetrator.
Misogynistic attitudes via perpetrator.
Age disparity of couple.
Victim's intuitive sense of fear or of perpetrator.
Perpetrator threatened and or harmed children.
Oh, yeah, he had a lot.
Rowan displayed 74% of these lethality factors since this incident in Australia has been the mission to combat domestic violence through this entire country. The mayor went on to say the system had failed to protect Hannah and the children. They have let them down, and they are so sorry for this evil that took their lives. Hannah's brother went on to say that the system was not designed for people like Rowan, people who don't care about the rules, who feed off control and fear, and who have no regard for restrictions on a piece of paper or the consequences of disregarding them. So she went on, and Marie Claire went on to make Hannah one of Australians' Women of the Year for her bravery and for just bringing attention to lesser-known forms of domestic violence like coercive control, domestic...
Marie Claire, like the magazine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's my best friend. Domestic abuse is not always violent, as we know, and just because it's not physical abuse doesn't mean that you're not being abused. And then one last thing of one last list. This is according to Healthline, and these are 9 signs of coercive control. isolation. It's basically isolating you from your support system, monitoring your activity, denying you freedom and autonomy, gaslighting, name calling and insults, limiting your access to money, reinforcing traditional gender roles, turning your kids against you, controlling aspects to your health and body, making jealous accusations, regulating your sexual relationship, threatening your children or pets. That was more like 12. But
So it kind of reminds me of Christian Longo. Remember Christian was needed to be somebody in the community. He needed to be successful, and he flaunted his family because he wanted to look rich and buy all these things.
Yeah.
And then when his family didn't serve that purpose for him anymore, then they do away with him. So he messed up the relationship. So then they broke up. So then he lost the gym. So then there's part of this control, and that was his image.
Yeah.
And then the fact that she left him, so that pisses them off because they really do lose control. And then they want to punish them, and that's the ultimate form of punishment.
Changes have been recommended to how police respond to domestic violence scenarios, and there need to have more, I guess, scrutiny and provide more education to perpetrators and people in these domestic and family violence situations. So they go on to say that nothing could have been done to save Hannah and her family on that day because he was intentional on committing these murders, and it was just a matter of time. But the question that the parents, they said 2 years after this horrific incident, their one question is why, and the only response that they have gotten was the simple answer was that because Rowan Baxter was evil.
He was. I'd like to know, which it don't matter now, but did somebody commit suicide in front of him?
Right.
What was his growing up dynamic?
Yeah.
Was kind of contributed to this.
Yeah, because he seemed like there's a lot of other there was a lot of other examples that they gave, past stuff that he had done that it was just he had a lot of stuff that he did in the past. So it's not like it was new that he acted this way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had treated it like previous relationships and stuff like that. So what's really cool is that
I wonder if
the
wife,
family
remember he had
I know,
ex-wife. Did she warn?
I don't know if they moved, if he moved, because if you move,
isolated him.
Because I don't know where New Zealand.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if maybe he lived with the ex-wife and the kid in one area, and then he moved and found Hannah, and then they don't really know, and they don't discuss anything. You're not going to call I didn't. Some people, you probably should. You should always call the ex-wife and ask why they got divorced, just to get that side. That's what the psychologist told me, but I never did. And look what happened. I'm still alive, but
an ex-wife, you should be warning. If you know you're married to a dangerous person, the new person's not going to believe you. Yeah.
The new person's not going to believe you. But you know what? I think you need to try. You just need to try. Even if you're listen, I know I'm the ex. I just need to warn you about this because I deal with it. You just got to say it. I don't know. Yeah. I gave a warning out to somebody who started to go with Dirty Chad, and they experienced it, and they listened, and I showed them receipts. So it don't take much when you got lots of receipts.
Have data.
So small steps for Hannah was the domestic, I guess it's not a charity. It's just a, what do you call it?
Nonprofit?
Organization. It's an organization that they came up with to remember them and honor them. And it's called HALT. Together we can halt domestic violence and family violence. And it's their initials.
HALT.
Hannah, Aaliyah, Laianah, and Trey.
Wow.
In their quest to honor the four and to ensure that no family will ever have to endure the pain again, the Clarke family has started a movement for change. Small steps for Hannah to put a halt to the incidences of severity of domestic violence and family violence in Australia. Through small steps for Hannah, it is the hope of the Clarke family to harness the collective desire of all of us to make positive changes resulting to halt domestic and family violence, take steps to do it. And apparently the logo is little feet because her feet didn't get burned on the bottom of her feet.
This is sad.
I know, but I feel like it was really important because these are the ones that sneak up.
Yeah.
These are the kind that sneak up that that's so violent though. I mean, this is like the cutest little oh my gosh, look at that cute little family. Ugh, can you imagine like your whole, like that's your 3 little grandkids and you're like
Mama Sue. She just lost everybody.
I don't know how that Mama Sue and her mom and dad are so alive. That's horrible. That is horrible. It's horrible.
I remember when, because I always think about the little kids, and then you dwell on that, and did they suffer? Were they hurting? So I remember when I was young, when Susan Smith drowned her kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably like in 5th grade or something when that happened, maybe 6th grade. And I remember thinking, I had a brother the same age, and I remember thinking, Mama, like those babies, they drowned and they suffered. And so my mom told me this. She says, I really do think Jesus takes them so that they don't suffer. Like Jesus was with them, so you don't have to worry about that. And so it does make me feel better. It's still sad, but it makes me feel better that they just, you can't think about them just sitting there burning and being charred.
You can't, because either way, you don't.
And neighbors would have said, we heard screaming.
Yes, exactly. They didn't say that. Yeah. But I think you have to go into such shock. You don't even know. You can't even know what happened. I don't think. I think something like that happened so fast.
Oh, burning? No. That's like a slow, torturous, horrible
death. Not if it's like, no, I think if it's almost like a plane crash.
Like they just blown up.
Yeah, I think it just happens. It's not like you are, it's not like a slow
lit fire. Okay. Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll show you a picture of the car, but that's all we have for now.
Woo! That was a good story. And that's a hard one to tell because it's
hard because there's no like.
It's not a story.
It's based on a details that came out of a hearing.
Yeah. There's nobody telling
and
the story.
A little bit of a few things leading up to it. So it wasn't like I don't know. I think that the reason it popped up somewhere and I saw it and I was like, let's go to Australia. So here we are, and there we went. Thought that we could be there.
Wow. Good story. Okay. And we haven't done a family annihilator in a while, I don't feel like.
No, we haven't.
And then this was one that you could like lead up to this. A lot of the other ones, they were like Chris Watts, you really could not have predicted that.
Yeah.
Christian Longo, you probably couldn't have predicted that.
Also apparently
this could have been not the way he done it, but he was capable.
Yeah, apparently he like cheated on her multiple times. I mean, he was a terrible, terrible person. Because I was thinking Chris Watts cheated and he was cheating, whatever. But
LDE.
LDE.
Mm-hmm. Did he have LDE?
Little dick energy. I knew I could figure it out.
That's all the insecurity leads back to that.
Yeah.
Oh, that car. You can't even tell what kind of car that is.
No. It's just a shell. It's a shell car.
All right. Good stuff. Sad stuff. And like there's nobody to be, it's not like there's a court date. I mean, it just ends.
Yeah, it's like it just ends.
I do love that they were being proactive and they use that as like a lesson and let's prevent this from happening and let's remember them while we're doing it. And so that is the good part of this.
But like this car literally exploded. I mean, so hopefully they just died on impact or whatever. That's my point of that.
Good stuff. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Do not forget to go on and rate, review, and subscribe. We've been getting some more ratings, so we're going to be reading those soon.
Tell us how much you loved our Swingers episode. I'm sure you loved it. I'm sure you just loved it.
Swingers interview. Did we ask all the good questions? Also, we're going to be, if you're local, even if you're not local, there's a page that has been hot here. It's called McLennan County Mugshots page. And
do you know that people think we run it?
Really?
Yeah.
Obviously. Well, I mean, I guess it is true crime, but there's pages like this elsewhere. Like I think Austin has one, and I've seen like a Colorado one. But this page has...
Maybe we do run it.
It is so popular. But nobody knows who the moderators are, the people who runs the page. They're very...
Could it be us?
Anonymous.
Wow.
But so anonymous because they've been getting death threats. And
because apparently, and I didn't understand why, but I was like, mugshots are on the news. But I guess
not every mug used to.
No,
you could.
I'm telling you, this is my thought in my head. I was like, why are they getting? Why do people care about their mugshot? They're on the news, but I guess they're like digging it out. Like they're going and like getting, and they're like, hey, let me get every mugshot from today and blast it out. And it's easier to find. You don't have to dig for it.
Well, there's a website that's called McLennan County Mugshots that before this page, you could go on and you could search to see who's in jail, who's gotten arrested every day. I have a friend that did it before she started her day. She would check the page to see who got arrested. Yeah, very much public information. These people are just posting it to Facebook now. So I didn't know, as nosy as I am, I knew you could see arrest records. I didn't know you could see mugshots for every day. So that's kind of what I check every morning.
Pleasure.
Every day.
When you're on the toilet,
day,
you go and you check.
Yes.
Yeah.
Constantly. So everybody that's arrested throughout the day in McLennan County, their mugshot is being put on and what they did.
I am the person
People's
who cares
lives are
the
getting
least
ruined.
about it.
People's lives get ruined because used to you could get...
Wouldn't you be ruined for going to jail?
How would anybody know? Used to you could get arrested and nobody knows.
Nobody knows?
Besides the people who arrest you and the people you call to get out.
Oh. Like your work didn't know about it? You don't have to tell your...
You don't I mean, not every job do you have to tell. Depends on what you do. And then you don't have to tell them that day.
Oh, I didn't know. I literally didn't know any. I just thought like...
So now people are getting arrested and everybody is seeing it. Thousands and thousands and thousands are seeing it. And then there's comments on there and there's horrible comments on there.
Don't get arrested.
I mean, obviously, but it's like, I don't know. It had me so scared. So anyways.
Why? Because we run it?
No, it's I had a dream that I got arrested for controlled substance. And I was like, what do I have that could be a controlled substance?
It got you scared to not want to do anything to get on that page.
Yes.
Not that people thought you might run the page and they're going to send you death threats.
No, I don't run the page. Y'all would never know who got arrested, leaving it up to me because I wouldn't follow up on that. But
maybe I run the page.
People have reached out to them and asked so many questions. Yeah. So they've reached out to us and they are going to answer all your questions. I said all that to say, send us some questions because we are interviewing the McLennan County Mugshots.
The anonymous
people.
We are getting an exclusive interview with the people who run this page.
Except for you're not going to hear them or see them because it's still anonymous and they're pretty scared. Like they're getting death threats.
I think we could do a voice changer.
Block about 500 people. So send us your questions. We will get those all out, and then we'll put that in just as a separate episode that'll come out like on a random day. If you even care. If you don't care, then don't worry about it, and that's it. But if you have questions,
I think you should send it to us.
Yeah.
Because we could probably answer them.
Hey, I do not run that page. Don't be jumping me when I'm at HEB.
Please jump me. I'd love to see you try. I'm very tall.
Okay, y'all. This is it. Don't forget to
Stay aware.
stay alive.
And always BTT.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.